with the theft.
I encourage you to get theft.
What? All things the game of bowling.
Helping bowlers.
Till the hand collapses down.
And I'm going to try to bowl the best I can.
2,000 subscribers. 2,000 subscribers.
I want to challenge Ken Nelson.
Tom Corbett.
Jason Belmonte.
Good Monday evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bowling with the Fef, the first of 2 consecutive days with 2 shows. Very excited about that. Thanks to all of you who are tuning in live or on replay. If you're here live, feel free to use that live chat. It's up and running right now. And if you're watching on replay, leave a comment. I do see them all. Try to respond to as many as I can. It gets tougher and tougher as there are more of you, but that doesn't mean I'm not thankful. Absolutely, totally thankful for everyone who has supported this channel. It's been a great ride, and it's not ending anytime soon. Let's get into some of the stuff that's going on right now. Match play at the PWBA US Women's Open going on right now, and you know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Lee Jane Sin, in the lead again. She's already won twice this year, followed by Diana Zavjalova. Verity Crawley, Stephanie Johnson, and Brianna Klemmer rounding out the top 5 after 55 games of match play. A lot of bowling at the U.S. Women's Open, just like the men's U.S. Open is. Tough patterns, the whole deal. They will have a televised final, though, as this is a major championship. That will be tomorrow, 6 p.m. Wisconsin time on CBS Sports Network. So hopefully you get that and get a chance to see it. We will actually be live streaming live from Wagner's in Eau Claire tomorrow night. I'll tell you more about that later in the show as that final stepladder final is on the air. So we'll try and update as we can there, but exciting stuff for the PWBA National Tour. Both the men's and women's tour have the Lucy doubles coming up at the end of July for their next event. And now a word from our sponsor.
Handmade salsa is great, but it's such a hassle. Cutting yourself, the constant waiting, burning yourself. Oh, look at that mess. Oh. Raise your snack standards. Chip Magnet Salsa.
Oh, the sup is so good. You got to try it. It's Chip Magnet Salsa, made right here in the Chippewa Valley of Wisconsin, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, to be exact. They distribute to stores in more than 38 states and Canada. And do we have a deal for those of you who would rather just let your fingers do the talking? Shop online at chipmagnetsalsa.com. You enter the promo code BWTF2024 at checkout, and you get 25% off your purchase of $30 or more with no limit on that. Great stuff, Chip Magnet. Raise your snack standards. And as always, thank you so much to Chip Magnet for supporting bowling and Bowling with the Fef. Well, our guest has been on our show once before during a much different time in her bowling story. This was one of the last times that we heard from her after her Upper Iowa University women's team led the entire field after day 1 of the 2023 Peacock Classic, an NCAA tournament in Waterloo, Iowa.
This is a highly talented team. There's no reason why we cannot do what we did today on a constant basis. And going into tomorrow, we have a perspective of what to expect and to continue holding this lead so we can end up in the championship bracket right away.
Now, the team did finish 3rd in that event. Newman, out of the Wichita area, won that championship. Since then, Nichole Landry has had a whirlwind of a year. She has changed jobs. She's moved from Iowa to Texas. She's gotten married, and she's working toward returning to the PWBA tour, where she has been several times before. We're going to bring her on from Crosby, Texas, in a show we're calling Tumpin Pins Over. Nichole, do they talk like that in Texas?
Yeah, they do.
They do?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to cry because you brought up the memory of my team and how successful they were at that tournament, and seeing I forgot about that interview. I really did. Yeah. It's been a whirlwind of a year and a half of emotion and change and going in different directions. And so, wow, thank you for that little tidbit. That warms my heart.
Yeah. Oh, there's going to be more.
Oh,
There'll be
no.
more. Get the Kleenex ready.
Okay.
I want to start though with Mark London, who is joining us live. Chip magnets also readily available at Cub Foods, Wilmer, Minnesota. They have nearly a full shelf full, and I feel bad because Mark never saw my little update that said we were rescheduling the show.
Yeah.
And he like altered his sleep schedule.
He worked. Mark
yeah,
and I go way back. I remember we talked about this on the last show, and we had brought Mark on to help with you doing the live stream for the Peacock Classic in 2023. And Mark, I don't know, 20 plus years, 30 plus, I don't know. It was when I was a junior bowler. It is my career in this bowling industry is long. So yeah.
And he was fantastic. Fantastic on, both with the written word, with broadcasting. He's done an EYT since then. He's been inducted into 2 halls of fame. So just a fantastic bowling resource. He says he does have to wake up at 3:30 tomorrow. But he wouldn't.
Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, I know. Those are tough hours. Take it from someone who knows.
Yeah, I mean, Mark's career has spanned decades in this industry, and when you are a writer and a broadcaster and a journalist trying to convey news about the latest in this industry, he's always done that in some capacity. And so having him on my side is awesome. I appreciate everything he has done for me, especially my career, and I'm excited to see what he does next, and I'm hoping he gets more live stream. And you two actually need to, I kid you not, the number of people who were giving me compliments about having you and Mark do the live stream for my tournament at the time, it was amazing. And anytime I have a college coach reach out to me when I need to be asked to do it as an NCAA official, I say, who's your live stream? If you need someone, I know someone, let me know. And we can get Andrew to your event. Because you did a fantastic job for us. So I will forever be grateful for you. And if I ever get back into college coaching, I'm going to call you first.
Okay. Fair enough. He says 30 years, Dr. Nick.
It's been pretty, yeah, wow. My gosh, yeah, because yeah, my God. Wow, I'm old.
No, it's just, he's experienced. That's all. But no, he's a fantastic resource. He has a great grasp of the history of of bowling in the Midwest, of the PBA tour. It's just it's great to converse with him on that stuff. But on the topic of the Peacock Classic, I got to let you know, because I never really had the chance to thank you for suggesting this, because last time I had you on, we talked afterwards, and you said, what about live streaming this thing? And I thought you were just talking about, what do I need to live stream this thing? And I'm, you need a camera and, computer and all that. And you're like, no. You come
to Waterloo and do it. Yeah.
And yeah. I really didn't, hadn't thought of that at that time, but I'm like, yeah, I'll take a crack at it. And since then, I've done a bunch of events. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not like Emil Williams or Phil Brylo or anything like that. I kind of have, got to stay in my lane, because those two are the best. But I can't thank you enough, because it really opened me up to a new, kind of sector of this whole thing.
Like a different perspective of our sport. Knowing I had someone who I could reach out to do a live stream for this was important. I wanted to get my tournament out there. I wanted the teams who were coming to my event understand how much I value them being there, and letting them have an avenue to have their parents and their fans follow the tournament without having to stream every single match. And having all the teams there and watching them get excited because there's a live stream there and the parents behind us. It was amazing. I mean, it was, I don't know what else to say. And I can see the show going behind me. It was quite an emotional event for everyone involved. knowing the first year I had a team, which we didn't have a team to compete in 22, and then having the team I had in 23 and watching them go from this underdog to Cinderella story on day one. I mean, I just, I wasn't even the one back there coaching them. My husband, my now husband, was doing all the coaching because I was running the tournament, and it was awesome. It was fantastic. So thank you for doing that for us. We are forever in debt to you. And maybe I can talk to some friends here in Houston to have you do his tournament.
That's a long drive. It was easier to go to Waterloo.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, what was the drive for you from where you live in Wisconsin to Waterloo?
I want to say maybe 5 hours, maybe a little less.
And even with the snowstorm we had gotten and the ice storm, you still got there. It was, I don't know, Houston, though, I think you do a great job at the Houston tournament. Yeah. Well, I'll if he's listening. I don't know if he is or not. I haven't had a chance to talk to the particular person in question today. Usually we talk and text every day.
Sure. So. Yeah, no, but I mean, like I said, it was my pleasure to do it. I'm glad it came off well, to the people outside of the building. The thing that stood out to me was just the speed and the accuracy of the scores, because when you're following things or live streaming it, you need them to be,
out there
in short order. And boy, did you guys do a great job at that.
That was all Mike Kreshner. He is the scoring guru for NCAA. Without him, the stats and the updated RPIs and anything involving stat work for NCAA women's bowling, he is on top of it. And when I realized I was going to put this tournament on, I was going to do it. I found an open weekend. He was the second person I called after you. I said, your butt is going to be in Waterloo because I know you're going to get the scores done and you're going to get them up fast. And he did a fantastic job. He was one of the officials at the tournament when I went to Lockport and helped out with the Lewis Flyers Classic in February. And I was talking with him about how he was doing the stat work and understanding the inner workings of the program he uses. He uses Excel, and how much work he put into it to create the scoring file. And that man, yes, he's amazing. That's all I got to say. He was fast with the scores.
Yeah. I would have to assume at this point, knowing what we know with the benefit of hindsight, I mean, you have to consider that event a success for you, right? I mean, obviously you would have wanted your team to bowl that first year, but we were still in the heart of COVID and things were kind of strange. But, to have them come back like that and to get off 2 fantastic years has got to be pretty special.
It is. Now, the first year, the idea behind the tournament was to try to bring in 16 teams, and coming back off of a COVID and the shutdown and schedule issues, money issues for some of the universities, the travel was going to be difficult for the ones I was targeting. Yeah. And we ended up with the 8 teams the first year, and looking at the following year, trying to make it bigger. And we ended up with the 9 teams because then my women's team was able to compete. Having returning teams on top of Newman coming was an awesome thing for us. Given the fact Newman, it was in the GLVC with Upper Iowa, it was important for us to get the conference head-to-head matchup, and seeing the parents coming in from all parts of the Midwest to Waterloo. The general manager of Cadillac, Mick, said, "This is the most well-run college tournament we've ever had at the center." They host the high school bowling tournament for Iowa. They host, I don't know if they're still doing it right now. I haven't really been following much about with Iowa and the college scene up there. If they're still doing the Hawkeye tournament, I don't know if they're running it there or if they're doing it at Maple Lanes now. Knowing the planning process of running an NCAA tournament, it takes a lot of time to plan and organize and put in place and make sure we're following rules and compliance. So yes, I am extremely proud of how this tournament ran. I wish we could continue doing it. Maybe one day I'll be able to come back and host a tournament again. I get asked a lot if I want to do any officiating for any of the other tournaments. And I tell people, yes, I will fly out or drive wherever you need me to do. And I will run your tournament from start to finish. I've done it 3 times this last year. I did Cat Clash, then the Flyer Classic, and then the GLVC reached out to me and asked me to run their championship tournament this year in Kansas. And I flew out to Kansas. I ran the tournament. It was hosted by Central Missouri. Ron Holmes talked with me at length about how he wanted someone who understood the rules, knew how the format ran. And let me tell you, outside of like a couple of issues, because we had lanes break down and a parent getting in my way, the tournament ran smooth. Scores were out. GLVC Network did the streaming for the tournament. Their feed was amazing. The 2 broadcasters there, they had a local broadcaster, and then they had somebody from the broadcasting department within the university. Those types of things I love to do. I love the coaching. I think I love running tournaments more now. I really do.
Oh,
yeah.
And that says a lot, because I know how deep you were invested in coaching as the head coach of both the men's and women's teams at Upper Iowa.
Yes.
So, I reached out to get a little perspective on some of that. And I landed on Samantha Percha, who was a freshman on that 22-23 team from Warren, Michigan. She wrote a lot. And
I'm sure she did.
I'm gonna try and get the highlights in here, but I want you to know that she's got a lot of respect for you and what you've done back, both then and now, and all that good stuff. So I'm hoping this kind of, this signifies that and kind of.
That's the Labradoodle wants to know if I should go get tissue.
So Samantha told me that you accepted everyone with open arms and talked about the program, team, and school with complete honesty, which she loved. And she's referring to before she had said she was coming. She said she came there, toured campus. She said that whole day you focused on her. Talked about how the team would be a great fit for her. It felt like she had a purpose to be there, and she wasn't going to feel alone. I feel like that kind of thing is maybe not talked about as much as it should be. And not just in this situation, but, you're a freshman in college. Your world is changing faster than you can get your bearings. And you need some stability, some, a resource that you can turn to. And she found that in you. How important is that to you that she saw you that way?
Really important. The hardest thing I had to do right now is grieve my teams and losing my programs. And I know I was a pain in the ass as a coach. And sometimes I got in the middle of things which I shouldn't have. At the end of the day, I wanted to protect my girls and my guys at all times. And I wanted to be their mom and their dad and their mentor and their teacher and their coach. And I wanted to be all those things for them. And I didn't want them to ever feel alone while they were at Upper Iowa, because when I went to Illinois State University I transferred in, and you're trying to become part of a bowling program, they look at you as an outsider. And when you're good, it makes it even more difficult to break through those barriers to becoming a part of the team. And it was one of the main reasons why I left Illinois State's bowling program. I always felt like I was an outsider. Even when I had difficulties going on in my personal life, no one cared. And from my point of view, what I wanted to do is embrace every one of my kids and love them and take care of them and help them through the things which I didn't want them to go through. And did it get me in trouble? Yes, absolutely. There were a lot of situations and circumstances where I should have stepped back and let them handle it and forget my involvement. At the same time, I didn't want to see any of my kids hurt. And yeah, I'm highly emotional when it comes to my kids. I still talk to several of them throughout the year. Some of them will reach out to me. In fact, a couple of them ask me about bowling balls and ask me what they should buy or look at. Even if they're having a hard time at home, some of them will reach out to me. And so it's part of what I miss about Upper Iowa and my kids. They don't, a lot of them don't know this because I never had a chance to really say goodbye to them. And so I never got a chance to tell them how much I loved them. And that hurts because I love them regardless of where they've gone and how much they hate me and how much damage I have felt I've caused with them. I still love them. So Sammy, thank you. You've now put tears on your coach's face. I wasn't expecting that from her. Yeah, so.
I've got more.
I'm sure you do. Oh my gosh, I feel like this is like a reunion show.
Yeah.
Roasting Nichole.
So, she talks about over the summer, she thought about her decision and finally decided that, Upper Iowa was the place. She said, you were so excited, which made her happy too. And the rest of the summer, she talked to you almost every week about bowling. And and as a result, when she got there, she just knew this was going to be the best year of her life. She knew that. I mean, that's like, you talk about, okay, maybe I didn't have the greatest experience, in my past, but to be able to remake it for these kids. And, she also said she didn't have the greatest experience as a high school bowler. And this was doubly as good because of that, because you helped make this a different situation for her in college.
When I worked with recruits and I talked with them, I asked about their high school experience simply because I wanted to know what I could change for them going into college bowling, with the understanding there are expectations in place. You may not, as a freshman, start right away. It may take you 2 years before you end up in the starting lineup. However, there's something about you, I believe in you as a person, which is why I want you to come to my school. It wasn't, and this is what drives me a little crazy and irritating watching how recruiting works out. Some coaches sell the school and don't think about, we have to look at these kids as a human being, as a person. And we have to tell them if they're going to fit or not. And every person who came into my office, I say this all the time to any young kid I work with on the lanes when I'm coaching here in Houston. If you don't love the school, don't choose it because of the program. I understand these schools have championship teams and they're a championship program. If you don't like the school, how are you going to be happy? And how are you going to enjoy your life and what the school's offering to you outside of bowling? Because you never know. You could have happen what happened to me, my programs in several programs like Tuscaloosa, Drury, University of Tennessee Southern. What are those kids? Now they have nowhere to go. So they end up on a transfer portal trying to find the glory again. And they're not thinking, I came to this school because I loved the school. Bowling was second to me. And I ended up in a great program where the coach cared more about me as a person than they cared about me as an athlete, as a bowler. And that's who I am. And again, it got me in trouble. So it's just the nature of the beast for me. And yeah, I don't know what else to say on that.
Yeah, she mentioned a time when, and I'm going to throw up a little video of her, competing so people can understand what we're talking about here. She mentioned, and not at Waterloo, which is where this is taking place, but she mentioned a time when you guys went to a hotel, went and got dinner, and after you got back to the hotel, the restaurant had forgotten her meal.
Yep.
She said that you, without hesitation, gave her your food.
Yes.
She said she kept telling you she was okay, didn't want to take your food, but you insisted that she did. And she said you always put, the team first, and that made sure that the girls were good. And that's a great example of that. Was that one specific situation? Was it more, about more than just a dinner?
Yes. I wanted to make sure my teams, my girls and my guys were taken care of, were well fed. They had a roof over their head. They had whatever they needed to be successful. And that actually, I know when this happened, it happened at Quincy. We were bowling the, trying to think of Quincy's team, their mascot, the Hawks. Hawks. Yeah, we finished second in that tournament too. And we had gotten food at Fazoli's. I think it was Fazoli's, because they all wanted. It's like, here's the options. Fazoli's is here. It's not something we go get because we don't go to cities which have it. Would you like to have this? And they all said yes. And I drove the bus over, got over to Fazoli's, and then we get back to the hotel. We're giving out our meals, and I realized Sammy didn't have her meal, and she and I ordered the same thing. So I looked at my meal. I said, "Here, you're taking it. You're going to eat." And she goes, "Coach, don't do this." I go, "No, you need to eat. I will find something else for me, because I can walk across the street to get something, or I got dessert. I ended up eating my dessert instead for dinner. Sorry, everyone. Yes, I ate my dessert first. This was not the only time it had happened. I've had this happen with my men's team too. And my men, God bless their soul, holy cows, like they were trying to shove food down my throat. I'm like, take it. You need it more than me. You're the ones bowling. I can eat snacks and drink water. Or there was a tournament where one of the we were in Vegas with the men's team last year, December of 22. And one of the guys forgot his slide soles. I brought my backpack with me, knowing I would need some of those supplies. And I was like, "Here, you can have mine. I'll get new ones when I get back to Iowa." Or I call my tour rep and go, "Hey, I need soles for my shoes." It's I think, what is it? One of the love languages. It's the acts of the acts of giving. One of those. That's who I am. I'm selfless. My husband hates it. He thinks I need to stop being like this. If you're listening, Steve, I'm sorry. And it's because I will give everything of myself before I do anything for me. It's just who I am. It's how I was raised. My mom and dad did good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they did. And then of course she mentioned that day when she got an email from the athletic director, who said, they were having a meeting in the liberal arts building in a classroom. She said when she got there, she realized it wasn't just bowling, because track and tennis and shotgun sports were all there. She said Rick Hartzell, the vice president for athletics, comes in, says the bowling program and the other sports were being cut because of money problems. They put out a statement. What it said in part was that that they had to reduce their sport offerings and to better match their resources, facilities, and staff within their athletic program. And she said some people on the bowling team looked at each other when he said that and started crying. She was one of them. And when he dismissed everyone, she called her mom, told her what was happening. And in that moment, she said she got a text from you. She said you happened to be somewhere else, weren't with them at the time, but was contacting everyone, helping them if they wanted to go into the transfer portal. What was that day like, from your perspective?
Horrible.
Yeah.
I was recruiting. I was doing a sweep around Illinois and then visiting my family when I got an email and asking for a request for me to meet with Rick in my office the day he was making the announcement. And unfortunately, circumstances prevented me from making it out there. And I talked with him on the phone. Our former SWA was with him in the call, and he explained the situation to me. At first, I thought I was getting fired, me personally, and they were not going to get rid of my teams. And then as I started thinking about it, realizing the signs were there, I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. And once I found out, I sat in the bedroom I grew up in at my mom and dad's house in utter shock. And I called Steve. I let Steve know. He had resigned. Steve had resigned a couple of weeks prior to that due to an opportunity I didn't want him to pass up, and it was going to cut into his this new opportunity. And I was shell shocked. And there was a lot of emotion, a lot of, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I need to, like all the what ifs. And as soon as I got off that phone call with Rick, and as soon as the announcement went out to my teams, because I wasn't allowed to let them know what was going on until they had the meeting, I was out on Facebook, and everyone in the industry who is friends with me, who I'm sure shared my post, let people know, hey, Nichole is looking for places for her kids to go to still be able to compete if this is what they desire to do. I was going to support them 100% in whatever decision they made regarding transferring to a new school or staying at Upper Iowa and finishing their degree. And I spent a good 2 weeks talking with coaches across the United States, collegiately levels, at the collegiate level with USBC teams, NAIA teams, NCAA, D1, D2, D3, finding places for the ladies and the men who wanted to transfer and go to another school. Mind you, some of the kids did not want my help. They wanted nothing to me. They didn't want me to do anything with it. And then there were a few who said, if there's anything you can do to help me talk with this coach, recommend me for a coach, would you please help me? And Steve will tell you, I don't remember how many hours of no sleep I got in the weeks leading up to us leaving Fayette for good. It was a hard thing to do. I still think about it every day.
Yeah. It's, you go from that mode of what can I do to help the ones who need my help? And eventually, I'm guessing you get to a place where you've done what you can do and you've helped the ones that you can help. And then it's time to help yourself. How do you make that transition?
I did it. I did it. Steve and I, when we were setting the schedule for the teams for the 22-23 school year, because the year prior I didn't have the ability to field a team to take my team to Houston. Brad Hagan's tournament at Emerald Bowl is it's right here. It's in my heart because he was instrumental in me establishing a career in NCAA women's bowling. And I had promised him every year, I said, when I have my own team, I'm bringing them to Houston, because Houston to me is my home. For those of you who don't know, I'm originally from the Chicagoland area. And while I love Chicago, I love where I grew up, Houston has been home to me. And so things had been going in a weird direction. And when I brought the ladies here in Houston in November of 22, in the back of my mind, it was, I feel like God was telling me, maybe it's time for you to come home, Nichole. Maybe it was time for you to come home. And looking back at what has happened after the dissolution of the teams, I wonder if that was God's way of saying at that time, Nichole, it's time to come home. I know you've invested all of your time and your effort with your teams, you haven't been taking care of yourself. You need to turn your life around and find what you love again, whether it's coaching, whether it's teaching, pro shop, owning a center. We need to figure out what's going on. And Steve, again, that man is the best thing which has ever happened to me. Literally yelled at me, told me I needed to take care of myself. It's time to move on, Nichole. You know what, God wouldn't have put this in front of you if you couldn't handle it. And it has taken me a long time to now get to this point where I'm finding joy again in my life, and I'm finding I want to be on the lanes more. I'm helping out with coaching and getting into the pro shop more. So it's been tough. It's been hard because I miss those. They may not think I miss them. I do. I miss my kids. I will always call them my kids, regardless of where they go.
Yeah. You went into teaching.
I went back to teaching. Yeah.
Is that the kind of thing? And you should probably say hello to your students, because I've heard they're frequent consumers of bowling live streams.
Yes. So I kept my Texas teaching certification as a backup plan.
Yeah.
We all know coaching and collegiate level is never guaranteed. You never know if they're going to want you back, or if, say, for example, they extend your contract and then they let you go. And I had kept my certification up in Texas, knowing if something were to happen, I could fall back on this career. And I happened to apply to several school districts in Houston, and Houston, specifically Texas, like everywhere across the United States, is desperately needing high school teachers. And I have a science background, my degree, my undergrad's in chemistry, my master's in education, my PhD is in education. And so I interviewed at 5 schools. I can't remember how many, all across the Houston area. And I got offered jobs at 4 of the 5 schools districts. And it was a matter of, where did Steve and I want to live if we made this decision to move? For one, for me to move back down to Houston, for two, for him to move to a new state after moving to Iowa to be with me to help me run the teams. And then how were we going to handle his career? Because I wanted him to find what he loved to do, whether it was in the industry or a trade. This way he was confident in his abilities. And so I chose Channelview High School, Channelview ISD. Then we chose where we were going to move. We decided to build a house in Crosby, Texas, which took a short amount of time in the amount of time we had to build. And I started teaching there in August. And I think about where I've gone in my career and support systems. And without a doubt, Channelview and the administration there has been 100% supportive of me and has encouraged me. They've never made me feel like I'm horrible or I'm worthless, or which has happened to me in the past, especially in education. And they respected me because they understood, one, I was a professional bowler, which meant I was going to have to take time out of the classroom to compete. And then two, I'm coming back into the classroom as a veteran teacher. And so they took advantage. They really did. They took advantage of it. Because now this summer I'm spending several hours rewriting the curriculum for chemistry for the school district. They're putting me in upper level classes this coming school year, which means I'm going to get to work with those kids who are college bound. And with my experience at the college level and now teaching college courses, it comes back. And so when you ask me about getting myself back on track, like I said, I almost feel like now somebody is looking out for me to help me become better in a place where I'm going to feel comfortable. And that's being here in Houston right now.
Yeah. I mean, to turn what had to be, as you said, just an awful, horrible day into an opportunity, that's kind of the dream, isn't it? I mean, we don't always get the perfect circumstance that lasts us for the rest of our days, but there are opportunities if we look hard enough and if we are in the right place when we need to be in that place.
Agreed. I know I'm meant to be here in Houston. I know this. Yes, I miss Fayette. Steve and I talk about it all the time. Yes, we miss the peacefulness of Fayette. Yes, we miss our kids. Yes, we miss our drill press and our pro shop. And yes, we miss several of the people who've become our close friends. However, we're building our life here in Houston, and I have never been more proud of what Steve has accomplished in this last almost year of living in a new state, in a new surrounding. He's never been to Houston until he came down with me the first time when I was signing my school contracts and getting stuff situated for building the house. And that man, my gosh, he's now a manager for Emerald Bowl, which means Brad's going to see Steve all the time with a tournament setting. Yeah. I'm hoping all of this training he is getting and the passion he has for running a center will lead to bigger and better things for him. Because I can see Steve running a center one day. And I'm not just talking like a small 12-lane center. I'm talking like a 16-lane center, which brings in PWBA events, PBA events, national events, the bigger scale of things instead of just the standard small league type center.
Yeah. He's done enough good stuff for you that you ended up marrying him in February.
Yeah, we did.
Does that make things different for you two, either off the lanes or on the lanes, or is it just kind of what it was?
We always argue on the lanes. What are you talking about? You should ask him. In fact, we were talking about this last week. His mom passed away in October, and I sadly never had a chance to meet her. His mom talked to me almost all the time. She was a texter. She loved to do Facebook Messenger. And at one point during a conversation, I said, I would love to marry your son one day. I feel like I know he's the one for me. He's my soulmate. He drives me to become better, even when we fight. And I hope we get a chance to have this wedding and you're there. And when she passed away, it was like our entire world crashed because I know how much he wanted her to be a part of it. And so for some messed up reason, because he still hadn't asked me and I got tired of waiting. I was like, your mom had talked with me about us getting married. And so what I did, and I look back at this story. This is actually a funny story. And this is the first time I've shared it because we have not shared it with other people. So live stream, woo, you get the story. I used to live in Baytown my first 8-year stint here. And Baytown from Crosby is about a 15-minute drive. They're one of the county seats for Harris County, and they have a courthouse. And so I had texted him during my planning period, and I said, hey, I need you to do me a favor. And he goes, what? I said, I need you to meet me. He was off from work that day. I said, I need you to meet me at the courthouse in Baytown. And he goes, why? I said, just meet me over there. I'll explain when you get there. And so, we had bought him a truck. One of his bucket lists was to buy a truck, and we bought a truck. And now we have this amazing Ram truck sitting. Well, he's watching. No, he's actually texted me. He probably isn't even watching. So we bought him a truck. So the truck's out there. He's driving. He meets me there, and he's looking at me. He goes, what are we doing here? I said, Steve. And I start crying. I said, your mom talked with me about wanting to get married and if we were going to do it because she wanted me to be her daughter-in-law. And I know it hurts because she's not here for me to honor it in person. So here's what we're going to do. I want us to go inside the courthouse and go get a marriage certificate. And I want us to get married on February 29th. He looked at me and goes, why February 29th? It's because he won't forget the date.
Leap day. Yep.
Yes. And he'll tell you he forgets dates. It took him at least 3 years before he could remember the type of ice cream I love.
Okay. But he only has to remember it once every 4 years, right?
Right. Well, so yes. So we decided. We went in. We did our marriage application. We got everything filled out, and we did. We got married on February 29th of this year. And if if you looked at what we have gone through in the last 4 years, it really has made us stronger as a couple. And I know some people say when you get married, things change. No, nothing's changed. In fact, it's gotten better, which I'm probably in the minority, except for us arguing while we're bowling. That is still the same. And he'll tell you he'll tell you all the time. I listen to everything he tells me. The other way around, not so much. Nope.
Yeah. Mark says, see, easy to remember.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. And a lot of people, so I broke the news to my parents. What we decided to do before we told everyone in social media, I said, we need to call our parents respectively. You call your dad and I'll call my parents. And so this is what I did. I said, Mom, Dad, can I call you on, can we do a FaceTime? And they go, why? In the middle of the day? I said, I'm off during this time. And I thought maybe we could catch up. I have some news from you. They go, what? Are you moving again? I was like, no, I'm not moving again. So I FaceTime them, and this is what I do. I show them my ring, and they go, what did you do? I said, Steve and I got married. Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a story.
Yeah.
There you go. Breaking news, everybody. Breaking news.
There you go. Yeah. Is this someone you know? QC Lure Works, as one door closes, another opens. Great job, Nichole. I know sometimes with screen names it's tough to know.
Well, I have met a ton of people as a PWBA player, being on staff with my brands, to going to workshops and conventions in this industry. Bowling industry, not teaching, because a lot of teachers. Well, my chiropractor knows now I'm a professional bowler, so
there.
Probably watch this live stream.
There.
Shane, hello. Yes, I know who you are.
Yeah,
Shane Kern. Yeah, Shane is he's the assistant coach for the Augustana team, for the women's team, and I met him. He is also running the Tier 1 event in Wisconsin for USBC, and that's how I met him the first time. And I talked with him about how the tournament was run, and here's some suggestions, and and then I made him this amazing rag quilt in a flag. He's a veteran, and he asked me if I would make one for him, and I did. And now I get people asking all the time if I should make one for other people. So yeah, thank you, Shane. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Raymond Verdugo?
Oh, yes. Yes.
The bowling?
He is. Yes. So he is my teammate and friend on our draft league on Thursday nights during the summertime. Steve is our team captain. He drafted me because he felt like he had to do it. And I told him, no one else is going to draft me because I'm your wife, and they are going to say I'm untouchable until you draft me.
There you go.
And we had Ramon come in and sub for me during the season, since I had been out for about 8 weeks with a hamstring upper glute muscle strain. And he is someone I knew before I left Houston and bowled with me in a tournament and leagues, and reconnected with Steve. And then Steve heard him talking about bowling and then realized that we were married. And then, long story short, he's now bowling with us on Thursdays at the draft league. And let me tell you, Ramon is kicking ass. He's like averaging 223. He is beating all of us on this team. It is amazing how much he has improved since the last time I saw him bowl.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, when we're talking about your bowling, what everybody wants to know is, when are we going to see this again?
Oh my gosh. Well, last year when things crashed from my life, wait, where is this at? Is this from
This is from Egan.
Twin City's my favorite, one of my favorite centers. Oh, you stole this.
No, I shot it myself.
Oh, that's right. You were there. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. I don't remember that spare ball because I don't have it anymore. I actually threw the ball pretty good there. I had a couple of issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so once the university discontinued the programs, I had to think if I wanted to go back out on the road for tour in 23. And financially, it wasn't feasible to do the first half of the season. Vice was doing a tour of the facilities in Stockton, and then the tour stops in Stockton was tied into Vice. And I couldn't go out to the West Coast. I had planned as soon as school was done, or the couple of days before the school year was over at the university, I had planned to drive the entire West Coast swing, starting in Stockton, going up to Spokane, Washington, and then going down to Vegas for Queens. And after they made the announcement at Upper Iowa, I mentally could not do it. There was no way. Even though I was physically ready, my game, since the time you'd seen me compete in 22, had elevated to the next level. I had become confident in my physical game, and I've been able to add new components to play the lanes differently now. And when the floor dropped from underneath me, there was no way. I couldn't do it. My priority were my kids at the time, and was that a mistake on my part? No, absolutely not. If this happened again, I would go back and make the same decision. However, it did make me lose half of the season last year. And I did get to bowl Lucy. I got to bowl with Patrick Martinez. He asked me to bowl with him. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. I did decent after not being able to bowl on a sport shot for a while. And it lit the fire under my butt. And Steve and I talked, and he said, if you want to do the tour for the full year, for the full season, I want you to do it. By the time we had moved to Houston, we had become financially more stable with my salary and his salary. We've planned well. We've been able to do it. And then Texas Queens came. I was bowling great until the last game of qualifying. Halfway through game 6, I stuck and slid at the same time. And I didn't know I had hurt myself. I kept bowling because that's what I would do. I should listen to my own advice. When I tell someone, if you're injured, stop bowling. I did not. And I missed the next cut by 2 pins. And then I continued to bowl. And I was in a lot of pain, and I was hurting. And I felt, I'll just take a couple days off and I'll go back on the lanes. And then league one night on Monday night at Emerald, Steve and I are on the same team. I was throwing a shot. I was in so much pain. I was limping and literally having to walk on one foot on my right leg. And he grabbed my equipment. He goes, "You're done. Yeah. You're not bowling anymore until we figure out what's going on." And once I had started to see my chiropractor again, we've discovered my hips are always out of alignment. I have to get adjusted at least once or twice a week to prevent injuries. And it took me 8 weeks to finally feel confident with my legs and my hips to go back out and bowl 3 games. And then after 3 games, it went to 4 games, and 4 games to 5 games. So I've recently gone back. We've talked about me hitting the Detroit, the championship week. I need to get permission from my school district to see if I can take the 4 days off to go out there. We're on the wait list for Lucy. I don't know if Steve and I will make it. I think it's going to depend on if anyone drops out of the tournament.
Okay. All right. But you're trending in the right direction.
Nope. Yes. In fact, everything's going in the right direction. I'll be out there for the full season for next year because the way the schedule works out in relation to the school year, which is beautiful for me because now I know my principal is going to be okay with me hopping on a plane Thursday afternoon. I might miss pro-am and practice, whatever. Practice is not going to do me much when I know the lanes are going to change when I get out there. Okay. So as long as I can make it there for Friday and get down to the qualifying, I'll do as much as I can next year. And then I turn 50 in a year and a half. I know, right?
Okay.
So PBA 50 people, watch out because I'm coming for you. Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of PBA 50 events in the Southwest. A lot. Yeah. So maybe I'll win a PBA 50 title before a PWBA title.
Yeah. What about coaching? I mean, you do individual coaching right now.
I am. Yeah, I am.
Do you ever see yourself getting back into college coaching at any point?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know at this point. My fear is the guarantee piece, is going in to build a brand new program from the ground up and then being told in 5 years it's going away for financial reasons or something. And I don't know if I want to go through that pain again. I've been back and forth with it. Steve and I have talked about it every other day or so. I don't know. I wish I could say for certain. I feel like God's plan is going to come to me and I'm going to see it one day. And yeah, something's going to happen. I'm going to wait. I'm going to be patient. I get to coach at Emerald. I've had people reach out to me now and ask for lessons. And it's my way of filling up my cup of helping somebody in the industry. Because at the end of the day, what I want to do is I want to grow our sport and I want to be able to give back to the people who have given me so much in bowling. And if I can't do that, then I will not feel full. I will not feel empowered to continue doing what I love.
Yeah. Do you just do in-person lessons or do you do virtual?
I've actually put on my social media pages, on my athlete page and my personal page, I've said, I'm willing to do virtual. Let me know. And we can set up a virtual. We can do like a Facebook live stream, whatever. I don't care. Let me know. And I am more than willing to work with anyone who is willing to work with me and figure out what's going on so we can make anyone a better bowler.
Yeah.
Oh, a better person too, if you think about it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, if anybody out there is interested, I can certainly make the connection. Just email me bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com and we can figure that out.
Absolutely.
So if maybe coaching, maybe not, where do you go from here? I mean, what does the future hold for you? And I say that knowing full well that, what does anybody say about that? But is there a goal that you shoot for? Is there, is there something at the end of the tunnel that, that you can see at this point?
I feel like my livelihood is in the sport of bowling in some capacity, whether it's pro shop, whether it's owning a center, coaching. This is my number one passion. And I apologize to my students if they're seeing this or watching this, because I know I have to word it in the way which helps me understand it. Someone reminded me, and recently, in fact, what you're doing on the lanes is education. It's from another point of view. It's not necessarily teaching them chemistry. You're still educating. You're still getting involved with the piece of teaching someone something new. And really, maybe more so my passion is teaching, is education, is educating people about something, whether it's bowling, whether it's chemistry, whether it's math, whether it's life. And so for me specifically, I know my direction is education. Where it goes, I'm not sure yet, because now that I've gone back to teaching, I'm having to relearn things after being gone for 5 years with COVID and now online virtual learning. I've had to go back and relearn some things. And so if I think about this from a positive point of view, I'm still educating people. It may not necessarily be on the lanes. However, I'm still educating. I am still teaching. I'm still showing my passion for what I do and what I love. And so, yeah, I'm going in the right direction. I don't know if I'm going right or left, but I'm going in the right direction. I'm going straight. I'm going forward.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to look at it. And yeah, when you have, like you described it, a passion that strong, yeah, that's not something you can ignore. And kudos to you for,
Thank you.
following through on that to this day. You know how we do at the end of this show. We go off the sheet. And you had one of the great off the sheet segments in this channel's history because it provided me with 3 additional guests. Chuck Gardner,
Dasha Kovalova, and Parker Bone, right?
Yeah,
I called out, I couldn't remember. I know I called out Dasha.
Yeah. They've all come on the show, which is like,
all 3 of them they're good friends of mine. Well, okay, Parker's more Steve's friend. I kind of like by association Parker.
He's everybody's friend.
He's everybody's friend. He's amazing. Parker's amazing. When he walks into a bowling center, it's like everyone stops and goes,
there he is.
which is great. And Dasha, oh my gosh, Dasha, we have formed a friendship, and we don't get to see each other much. And when we do see each other, we hug, we say hello. I catch up with her, she catches up with me, and then we go in opposite directions, and then we catch up again. And Chuck, my gosh, if he's watching this, Chuck has been. Thank you, Chuck, for everything you've done for me. When I started back up on the tour in 2015, his support of me as both a person and a player, and also a college coach. Yeah, it eclipses, and so I'm glad. Yay!
Yeah. So do it again. Do it again. You know.
Oh my gosh.
Who are you going to challenge this time?
So I wrote 3 names down because I had to think about it when we had talked before. I was like, shoot, I should write these down. Okay, so I have 3. Well, I mean, so my husband wants to be on your show.
I am more than willing to put Steve on this show.
Mr. Landry, you've been called.
He'd be fantastic.
Yeah, he goes, like I said, he wants to be on the show. He's like, can you get me on the show? I'm like, why? Okay. All right. My first one.
Okay.
Jeff Johnson.
Okay.
I don't know if you've had him on the show yet.
I have not.
Okay. Jeff Johnson is a teammate with me on the DV8 side. He is also a tour rep with the PBA 50 when Chuck is not out there or he doesn't make the next round in a show. He was at the USBC US Open for the seniors and got through match play. He didn't make of course he didn't make the finals. One of my good friends, John Janowitz, made the finals. And Jeff, he is also the owner operator of a bowling center in Freeport, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he's watching. He's probably helping out getting things stuffed in a tour truck for the men's senior US Open. I would recommend reaching out to him and seeing if he's interested. And then I wrote also Tom Carter, have you had Tom yet on the show?
I have not.
Okay.
But last summer, our family took a trip to Ohio. And I stopped at Wayne Webb's place and shook his hand and the whole deal. But he mentioned that, Tom is one of those guys who, just has people from states around coming to him for pro shop stuff.
I met him when I became an adult bowler after I graduated from college and moved up to Milwaukee when USBC was still in Greendale. And I've been following his journey since he left the Rockford, Rochelle area of Illinois to Ohio. And he's also one of the tour reps too for the Brunswick team when he's out on the road with the tour. I think his insight with Jeff Johnson's insight about how the PBA 50 works is fascinating to me because I'm turning 50 in a year and a half. And if I want to go out there and bowl against these guys, I want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have that. And then someone who is instrumental in my learning of drilling bowling balls, Mike Austin. I was thinking about this last week or 2 weeks ago, I don't remember how many weeks ago you reached out to tell me, let's catch up. I was thinking, Mike Austin, I think he'd be good for this too. Mike Austin is the owner operator of Mike Austin's Bowling Dynamics Pro Shop. It's inside Emerald. And Mike has been in this industry for a long time, and we have a lot of connections. And Mark worked at his shop as well in Houston when he lived in Texas. Mike was instrumental, along with Mark, of helping me learn the pro shop side of the world of the sport of bowling. And without Mike, his continued support of me, especially when we made the decision to return to Houston, and I have a home where I can drill my equipment, I can still represent my brand of DV8 and IM Bowling and Vice. And when I'm on tour, I'm representing Hammer. Without Mike's help, I think the transition back to Houston would have been much more difficult for me. Sure. Plus, he's got one of the best draft leagues in the world, I think, from my point of view, because I've been wanting to get into it when I moved back here. And so I think his insight on how he created his PBA or his draft league on Thursday night would be really cool to hear about.
That is cool. Yeah.
And I don't know if with his work schedule and him working at the pro shop, I mean, my gosh, that man is in demand to drill bowling balls. Let me tell you.
It's not a bad problem to have.
No, and when you learn from someone like him and hearing some of the history behind it is it's really cool.
Okay.
I can think of more, but I don't think you want me to give you more.
Well, I tell you what, let's go with these 3. We'll see if we can get these 3 on, and then
And my husband, because he's killing me. I'm telling you.
Okay, yeah, these 4. So Steve, Jeff, Tom, Mike. If you're watching this and you're interested, let me know. bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com is the email address. And,
or I'll tag him. I'll like, hey, I called you out.
Nichole will let you know. And she can find me too. I'm not hard to find.
I know where everything's at.
Yeah. So as I said at the beginning of this episode, this is the first of 2 episodes in 2 days. And tomorrow we have a special event. This young lady, Olivia Baskin, and I know that I'm kind of, didn't really size this one right, but she's coming on tomorrow.
Nobody needs to see my face.
She's coming on tomorrow, 7 p.m. We're going to be live at Wagner's Lanes in Eau Claire, and she is going to announce where she is committed to for college bowling. She has just wrapped up her junior year of high school, and she recently committed to a program, and she has chosen Bowling with the Fef to make that announcement to the masses. So Tuesday, June 18th, which is tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, like I said, in, parallel to the U.S. Women's Open telecast, but, it'll be an exciting time. I hope everyone
how exciting for her to announce where she's planning on committing and going to for her education in bowling. What a way to showcase our sport. I hope more ladies out there will take advantage of what you're doing tomorrow to announce where they're going. Or I guess being a woman, I'm always, favoritism towards the women. I think though, but the men too. I think it'd be great to see this happen and blow up for you. How exciting!
No,
I'm excited for her.
Yeah. It's fun stuff. And Derek's in. He caught up. Hey, Derek. Yeah, it's exciting stuff. It's not something that I've done on a show before, so I feel like I'm kind of breaking new ground in the channel's history too. So yeah, her joy and excitement is definitely kind of, come over to my end too.
Really, I think bowling, our sport at the youth level specifically, needs more exposure like this when it comes to the commitment aspect of these colleges and universities. There are a lot of amazing programs out there which are not getting enough recognition, and if we could find a way to open the door up to have every college and university showcase what they are all about, we could potentially see a lot more of these youth bowlers who are like, I'm not quite sure, I want to look at this small school, will want to look at it now because they saw a video or they had the coach on. So how about this? I'm going to challenge you, Faf. Are you ready?
Okay, ready.
You need to find a way to try to interview as many NCAA women's bowling coaches and USBC coaches as possible. And coaches. I could think Andy Dirks, for example, from Mount Mercy. I'm thinking, I got so many people. I have a list. You already interviewed Brad Hagan. What was it? Episode.
Well, I interviewed him on the Ipsia channel, which is different. So,
okay. Well, then I'm calling out Brad Hagan too. I guess I should have added his name to this list because he needs to get out here. Amber Lemke from. I mean, my God, my list could be huge.
Yeah.
That'd be cool if you get out there and do all that.
Come one, come all. bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com. We'll make it happen.
Have you considered talking with USBC about doing something at Junior Gold? This way you could interview the coaches and do it live stream? Even though I don't know if they do it on Bowl TV. I don't think they do anything with Bowl TV for the Junior Gold convention part.
I'm not sure. I haven't had that conversation with them at this point, but that's interesting, especially since Junior Gold is going to be coming to Wisconsin, sooner than not.
That was an amazing announcement to hear. They were going to come to Wisconsin and be in a different state. Yeah. We're always hearing them going to Vegas or Detroit or Indianapolis. That also too, going back to Women's Championship, where they're now going to North Carolina, I think was on the schedule. They're going to different places now instead of being specifically in Vegas and Reno. I love it. I love hearing we're going to different places. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I'd certainly be open to that. Looks like you've got a request. Derek runs flush in the pocket.
Absolutely, Derek. Fef's got my info. Please get it from Fef.
I'll make the connection.
Yeah,
Yep,
please.
for sure. We can do that.
I'm getting popular again. Yay!
Not like you weren't
I'm kidding.
before this, but no, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, it's really cool to get caught up and kind of fill in those gaps in your story, because it's, you know, like you said, your passion is bowling. That's not going to change. And it's cool to, you know, to see you, you know, to hear you relay that as a part of your bowling story, and to know that, you know, just because you've had some changes over this past year, it doesn't change that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I haven't really talked much about what happened at Upper Iowa, and now that it's off my chest, I feel like I can finally move on and grow. It's been quite a grieving process, and I see what's in front of me, and I'm excited about my future.
Yeah, I'm excited for you too.
Thank you. I hope we run into each other again soon. I mean, now that I'm living 1,400 miles away from you.
Hey, you never know. You never know. Things happen. But yeah, like I said, thanks so much for coming on, and thanks to all of you for watching. Always a pleasure. Appreciate the support. And you know, like I said, less than 24 hours away, we'll be right back here on the channel. So feel free to join us. Until then, be justice. See you tomorrow.